14 units in less than a year and retired her mom. Welcome to the Investor Mel Woman of Action Show. My guests today are Patricia Gomez Silva and Adela Silva. They're originally from Venezuela and they purchased 14 apartments in less than a year using creative financing, other people's money. You're gonna wanna hang on right till the end because they're gonna talk about a scam that almost happened, that almost cost them $20,000. But before we get started, please subscribe and hit the bell to be notified so that way you know every time I release a brand new video. Get ready to learn how Patty was able to retire her mom. Let's get started. Thank you so much for being on the Woman of Action show.
Thank you for having us. It truly is an honor.
Yes, I am so excited because you have something very exciting to share to the listeners about your journey, and I'll let you talk about your journey here. So please introduce yourselves and tell us where you're at in your journey.
Right, okay, so I'm Patricia Gomez Silva. This is
Adela Silva.
And we're a mother-daughter investing duo. So we started back in, I want to say November 2020, when we started getting your very funny videos with the gun, the money gun that would come out. And we were thinking about potentially investing in real estate. And this is a story we've told many times and I hope you don't get tired of it, but it had to do with the fact that Mom was gonna come up for her retirement in 2021, and she was actually doing the math and realizing that she probably wasn't gonna be able to retire. But it wasn't gonna be enough for her to sustain our mortgage.
And let's just pause on that for a second because, that's a scary thought, right? When you're getting there. And Adela, can you go back to that time? How did that moment where you're thinking, okay, retirement's coming around, I want to retire soon, but then it's, oh, wait a second, I may not be in a situation where I'm able to do it financially.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, very scary. No, I thought I have to continue working for 5 more years or more because I find out the old age pension and the partner pension plan, everything was not enough for me to monthly payments.
And it's a sad reality that a lot of people are going through that. You're getting to, and my mom even has, she knows people that are going through the same situation, that they get to that 65, we're always sold the idea when you're 65, you can retire. And the reality is that, a lot of people don't have the financial means to do so at that time.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, Patricia, because you're bang on. It's the reality for so many people that they realize it and then they're stuck and okay, I'm here and what do I do? So please continue to share.
Yeah, so we were talking about, she was like, I'm gonna have to work probably 5 more years. And for me, we immigrated to this country in '98 and my mom has been working nonstop and just always making sure that I had everything that I needed to make it in life, basically in Canadian life. And so I started thinking, what could I do as her daughter to help her retire on time? Because I think that's the very least I could do for her. And that's where we started looking at investing. And your program, it's like Facebook was listening to us. And it's like, oh, here's a couple that, talks about creative financing and how to invest without normally relying on the traditional ways. And so that's when I had a chat with her. We decided to, jump into it and invest in the program. We haven't looked back since. And it's now that we can say that December 30th, 2021 was her retirement date. She retired on time.
I love it. I love it so much. And I was so excited to interview. Yay! I was so excited to interview you because I was at home and it was around 7 o'clock that evening and Dave walks by and I'm crying and he says, what's wrong? And I said, Patty retired her mom. And I saw your video that you posted inside the Action family and it was just so touching and so moving. And I just love it.
After those 14 units and the cash flow that comes with them, we are happy to announce that this lady Retired! Like, isn't that amazing? This is what was driving us. Were there ups and downs? Absolutely. But did we do it? Yes, we did. Are we going to keep on doing it? Yes, we are.
Wow, what did you need to do to make that happen?
So we, the first few videos in your program actually talk a lot about mindset and setting goals and having a clear why and your vision. And I think we really focused on that because we created a, like those school boards, like
Vision board.
a vision board, but like the ones they sell for school with the 3 flaps. We created one for ourselves, like what were the goals? And my mom's main goal was to retire. And we talked about what is the cash flow that we need to make that happen. And every decision that we took after that was with that in mind, with getting closer, because I think that it's really fun to say like, oh, I have like 50 doors, but you could have 50 doors and no cash flow. You could. Yes. So for us, it's about strategically picking properties that were high in cash flow that, we could leverage for our goal, which was to make sure that she could retire. And we did our budget, I think 3 weeks ago, just to make sure. She was putting it off. She didn't want to do it. She was a little bit scared that the numbers weren't going to add up. And we're going to be just fine. We're going to be just fine.
I'm so relieved that we can do it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wow. So you immigrated in 98, and where are you from?
Venezuela.
Oh, nice. That's fantastic. That's great. So how did you, because in our program, we're all about creative financing, buying properties using none of your own money, of course. How did you raise the capital to buy those properties?
So our first multifamily, we financed ourselves. So we used the techniques that we learned in the program. We actually met the realtor that we used in the Action family, and we funded ourselves by using the equity of our property, which is something that is scary for a lot of people, that you don't realize how much equity you could have in your own home. That you could then leverage to purchase other properties.
Yeah. And now more than ever, with the prices of properties increasing, many people could do this if they just know how to do it properly.
The whole idea that they sell is you should be debt free, right? And being afraid of debt. And Dave Ramsey's program, which this lady over here was a huge subscriber to. But taking on more debt, so we did refinance our home. And with that, we purchased our very first multifamily, which was a 4-plex. And after that, our properties have been OPM.
That's amazing. Okay, so what does your portfolio look like now?
So we have a single family home in Ontario. We have a 4-plex in New Brunswick. Actually, the rest of our properties are in New Brunswick. We have a 4-plex in New Brunswick. We have a 7-plex in New Brunswick, OPM, and we have a duplex in New Brunswick, also OPM.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. I love it. So how many doors total is that?
So from March until now, we acquired 14 doors.
Wow, that's in less than a year.
Yeah.
In less than a year from the time of this recording. Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations. Now you are located in Ontario, correct?
We are, yeah, in Etobicoke.
Okay, excellent. Now, what made you decide to invest both in Ontario and outside of that? And talk to me about that, because I speak with people all the time that have that fear of investing outside their area, but I want to see the building and I want to manage it. So did you see the properties you purchased? Can you explain the journey and how you went upon it?
Yeah, so I think it was very important for us to find a trustworthy team. That's the number one thing. So with the connections that we had in New Brunswick, we felt comfortable buying properties sight unseen, as they call it. Now, that doesn't mean we didn't know what it looked like. We got videos, we got photos, and I would ask, like, zoom in, like, what is that? And got the answers that way. But actually, I am a huge fan of investing not in Ontario right now, because the properties in other provinces are actually a lot more affordable, and the cash flow is higher because in Ontario, the prices are so inflated, for example. It's so competitive. Any house could have like 15, 20 offers. So you're likely paying over what it's actually worth, it's really hard to find that cash flow. And as I mentioned before, the cash flow is really important for us. So we have the property that we have in Ontario isn't the biggest cash flow, but it's definitely gaining in equity. So, we have a different strategy for that one. The ones in New Brunswick, though, are the ones that are giving us the cash flow that we needed to get mom retired. And now that we have that under our belt, we're going to be pivoting a little bit our strategy and how we're going to move forward and scale our portfolio.
Okay, and tell me more about that. What are your future plans to continue to scale?
I actually want to try a flip.
Nice.
Yeah, that's something that she is not very comfortable.
But you've been pushing your mom out of her comfort zone. It's been working great. So
pretty much. So I'm like, okay, I want to try a flip. I think I want to try the different areas or the different niches that exist in real estate. And so that's one. So we're working actually with her contacts, which is funny because I wasn't allowed to do a flip, but it's her friends that are helping me with it. And so hopefully 2022 will bring about our first flip. And then we also want to start investing in the United States. So we're following your journey, and that was actually part of my vision board. Like on my side, I wanted to invest in the U.S. as well, and we have family in the U.S. and so we just think it makes sense. But we want to make sure that we do everything carefully. I think we're more careful than not, and make sure that we're ready for it. Because there were times this year that we felt like, whoa, we exploded a little bit too big, and then we're like, okay, calm down, it's fine, and stabilized.
For the flip, are you doing your own renovations, or will that be all outsourced in Ontario or New Brunswick?
So the flip is going to be in Ontario, and her friends that are going to be helping us with it, they're actually skilled at renovations, and so I'm hoping to learn a little bit from them. So it's going to be probably a lot of our labor, but also we're probably going to have to outsource a little bit of it.
Wow.
But for that one, because it's a little bit scarier, we want to have it close by.
And that's the thing. Anything, if you want a different result, you just have to push through that barrier, that fear barrier. And I'm sure when you first joined, of course, I remember speaking with you. You had fear of joining, of course, and then you had fear of doing it. So, what did it take to push through that fear for both of you? Because fear is always there. I remember my first duplex. I was so fearful, and my first sixplex, and then I'm in the double digits, and now we're investing worldwide. And every time, of course, there's an amount of fear, and that's very, very normal. But how did you push through it? Because many people want to do it, but they don't, because that fear holds us back. And I'd love for you guys to be able to help others who have that fear right now, push them through that. So how did you achieve it? How did you push through that barrier?
So I actually think one of the videos that you had posted on YouTube, I think, was very key, because we realized that we had what you guys called analysis paralysis. And that would explain why we joined in November, but we didn't really take action until March. A big thing that helped us get over the whole concept of analysis paralysis and being afraid was knowing that we were going to make mistakes. Mistakes were going to happen. They were inevitable. Because I think that fear comes from wanting everything to be perfect and, having control over everything. And in real estate, you can do your due diligence, you can, do your research and try your best to control as many variables as you can, but something can always go out of whack. So, to share with everyone, we've had our closing date pushed, that we've had to push, that others have had to push. We've almost been scammed by fake lenders. That was a fun one, right? We had the seller pull out of the deal one day, the day of closing, because we needed 1 day an extension. So the seller said no, even though we needed an additional day. It ended up working out, but basically everything that we were afraid of has happened. We basically had to splurge on a renovation because, we needed to, right? And it was a lot more than our budget. So we were afraid of renovations. We thought Yeah, let's do a renovation for 10. Yeah, let's try $26,000. So, things like that happening. And guess what? We still have a healthy portfolio. We still have a healthy investment strategy. And we're still positive, if you will, or above ground. So I would say that, it is going to be scary. Things are going to happen. And at the end of the day, they're going to be learning experiences. They're going to be things that you look back on and be like, hey, remember that time that guy almost scammed us, for, what was it, $20,000? But we caught on and we didn't. And now we can tell others, like, probably don't trust people who tell you to pay before they give you the funds, or, something like that.
And that's the thing, you can try to plan your journey, and in education absolutely is key, of course, but you'll never know it all, and that's a reality. You're talking about this scam here, which I'm so curious about, and I don't know if you want to share a little bit more about what it was, or how at least you were able to identify it, so our listeners can go, wait a second, I don't want to get scammed either here. So if you don't mind sharing what happened, I'm curious.
In our quest for OPM, we posted in one of those Facebook groups, like joint ventures and whatnot. We said we were looking for investors, and someone contacted us, and he presented himself as a name, like my name is, Joe Watson, let's say. And I was like, okay. And I Googled Joe Watson, and Joe Watson was a broker, and he was, very high reviews and everything. And so I was like, oh, okay. My first red flag should have been that I sent in my application, and within 2 hours they said approved. And that should have been my first red flag.
Nobody does it that quickly.
And then it was negotiating. They wanted originally, I think 8% interest. And I said, can we do 4? And they said, yes. No one goes down by half without a fight, at least, or a negotiation. So that should have been my second red flag. But I was so eager to I found OPM. I finally did it. And then offered 100% LTV.
LTV, for those listening, is loan to value.
Yeah, loan to value, which is rare, right? Most will give you 80% at most, 90 if you're lucky. But so I was super excited. I'm telling my realtor, hey, I found 100% LTV lender. I'm going to be okay for this deal. And this is why the action family is so important, because this realtor told me, sounds a little bit too good to be true. Are you sure this isn't a scam? And thank goodness that seed was planted in my brain, because when this person said, okay, I'm ready to send you the funds, but first you have to pay me the points. And it's a system with lenders where they charge you points, and it's a percentage of the actual loan amount. And it would have been $20,000 for us. So they said, send us the $20,000 and then we'll send you the full amount. And I said, okay, but normally my lawyer handles that. No, we don't do lawyers. My lawyer is working on it, but I want to save you money. So started getting a little concerned. So I went online and I found Joe Watson again, and it was a different number than the number I had been talking to. So I called Joe Watson, and a man answered that did not sound like anything like the man that I had been talking to. And he was like, oh no, did you send him money? And I said, no, but he's asking me for it. He's like, do not. You will never see it again.
So he knew about this. He was not surprised that you were calling him.
I had to talk to the FBI, Mel. I had to get the FBI involved, because they were scamming people in Canada and the US using this guy's identity, who is a legitimate broker. And he had sent me, the person that stamps, the court person that stamps documents, the affidavits and whatnot. So I tracked her down on Facebook, and I gave her a call, and she didn't know that her stamp was being used by these scammers.
Oh my goodness.
So it was actually, it was an exciting discovery, because I'm so good at research. Had I been, this wouldn't have happened.
You're an investor and an investigator.
Yeah, I know. I called everyone. I was like, did you know that your name is being used? The lawyer didn't know that his name was being used. So this guy had a whole operation where he was using real people's names and information, but he was just impersonating them. And it had been like 10 more minutes if I hadn't called that guy. If I hadn't trusted my gut. And if the Action family member hadn't told me, are you sure this isn't a scam? I think I would have fallen for it, Mel. I would have lost $20,000.
Just like that.
And and considering that I'm trying to get my mom retired, losing that amount of money, I would have been like, oh my God, 5 more years, you have to work 6.
Because it's not, as an investor, and I'm sure you're thinking that way, it's not even, it's not $20,000 that you're losing, it's $20,000 that you could put to work for you that can make you way more than that. It's that compound effect of investing as well. So you reached out to the Action family, was able to realize that, wait a second, something is off here by having that network, which is awesome, and followed your gut. And we say that all the time inside the Action family as well.
We learned our lesson, and you know what the funny thing is? That was the 7-plex that we were buying. This caused a huge delay, as you can imagine. That we still ended up making the 7-plex our first OPM deal.
Okay, so tell me about that. Okay, so legit. Okay, so you have bad experience. You did not let one bad situation stop you. So you've been using other people's money. So how did you, the real money that existed, how were you able to fund it?
So it was actually really, it's really interesting. We're renting our Ontario property, and the tenant that we had for that property said, oh, I have a friend that I know has funds and might be interested in lending. Why don't I connect you to her?
What?
And
wow.
We connected with her. She liked the deal. She liked the numbers, and we're still working with her on that deal. She gets a check from us every single month.
That's fantastic. This is what I want people to hear, is that you never know who has money that they want to invest in real estate, but they may not necessarily want to be doing what Patty and Adela and myself, finding the deal and overseeing the property management and all of that. They just want to invest very passively. So you found it in a place that you probably would never have thought, because you didn't know this person. It was just through your tenant. So how did the tenant know that you were doing this creative financing?
So because it's the only tenant that I manage, and my personality type being very chatty, I started, talking to her, and I'm like, oh, and we're actually thinking about this, but I'm looking for investors. And also something that you mentioned is just talking to people about what you're doing. Let people know what it is that you're doing, so that if they do encounter someone who says, oh, I have money, I want to invest, but I don't know where. Oh, hey, I have a friend that is investing in real estate and is looking for funds. Why don't I connect you to? And so when I messaged her and told her about this, she's like, I have a friend. And then that's all I needed, just that one connection. I called a friend, introduced myself, told her what her strategy was, what her vision was. And she told us her terms matched up with ours. We decided to go forward, and we salvaged the deal for the 7-plex.
Fantastic. Congratulations. I love it. Adela, how are you feeling about your daughter taking you through this journey? So saying, Mom, we're going to do this.
I'm so proud of her. Really, I'm so proud. I never expected that it's going to work this way. Really, I'm so happy.
Yeah, you should be very proud of both of you. You're going to inspire so many people. I love your story. Let's move into the questions of action. So, question number 1: what advice would you give to your younger self? And I want to hear from both of you, because I feel like you'll have 2 different perspectives. So who wants to go first? Now I'm putting you both on the spot, but who wants to go first?
You want to go first?
Okay, so Adela, what advice would you give your younger self?
I would say start investing earlier. I regret when I came here, don't look for something to invest.
So start investing earlier.
Advice to myself would be to try and save as much money as I could while I was working in my teens, so that I could start trying to acquire an asset as soon as possible.
instead of spending that money as a teenager. So teenagers listening, try to put.
You don't need that gas purse. Put it down. You would like a condo instead.
Right, exactly. Love it. Second question, what's your number one tip you would give to someone who wants to get started in real estate investing?
Invest in a good training program or mentorship program.
Like Mel and Dave.
Yeah, like Mel. I became like Mel and Dave. Because it had absolutely everything that we needed to get started from a very comfortable place. I think that for those that have analysis paralysis and are afraid, it really helps having the knowledge that you get from a good mentorship program. And it also really helps having the support from an action family like the one in Mel and Dave's program. You can't put a price on that.
Love it. Thank you so much. That's great. Awesome. And finally, how can people get a hold of you?
People can we actually have a website.
Oh, yay! Awesome.
Investorpatricia.com. And we have a Instagram page that we're going to be ramping up a lot more in 2022. It's at Silver Pass Properties.
Fantastic, and that information will be below as well in the description here below. Patricia, Adela, thank you so much for being here today. Your story, the video that you shared inside the Action Family is absolutely inspirational. Thank you so much for being on the Women of Action show.
Something to know or something to, but I wanted to get it out there is, it doesn't have to be a couple that invests. I think we wanted to show an example that mother-daughter duos can also do it. You can also do it with a friend. I think a lot of people have that, the perception that, because I don't have anyone to invest with, you can find someone to invest with. Like we decided to do it like mom and daughter, but you can do it with your best friend. You can do it with, a colleague that you trust. So there's many different ways that you can get into the investing world.
You're bang on. I love it. Love your story. Thank you so much to both of you.
Thank you, Mel.
Thank you.
Wow, Patty, you retired your mom. Amazing. Everyone, let's give her a thumbs up. Patty and Adela, thank you so much for being on the Women of Action show. You are an inspiration. I love how you took action. You had fear, as we talked about today, but you were able to push through it. And if you're inspired as well by their story, comment below, retire my mom. Well, that's it for now. If you'd like to check out another Woman of Action, make sure to check out this video. I'm Investor Mel, and I'll see you there.